Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another one of my weekly updates on my box truck business. My name is Zach Pasquarello, and I am a bookkeeper. I own Harrisburg Bookkeeping, and I recently invested in a box truck business back in April. So, if you guys have been following along by now, you probably know my story. I am just the owner, so I hire a driver, and I have one box truck, and I decided to start making these videos to show you guys kind of a unique perspective from an accounting and a bookkeeping background, and the trucking box truck logistics industry. So if you guys are struggling with QuickBooks, real quick, I made a QuickBooks course specifically for owner operators in the trucking industry. So the link is in the description. It's only $59, and I walk you through step by step from start to finish, how to do your own bookkeeping with QuickBooks. So it's very informative, pretty brief. It's like 2 hours of content, and I show you guys everything you need to know. So check out that in the link below. But as you guys can see with the headline, yes, the title of the video is November Profit and Loss. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was hesitant to even make this video because November was actually a pretty bad month for me. And I was hoping that it would be a really good month. A couple things that I'll get into later, but just in the spirit of authenticity and transparency and honesty, which is what I always talk about in my videos, because that's the reason I started making these YouTube videos in the beginning. I saw a lot of box truck business owners posting how they made, X amount of dollars, and they were only talking about revenue. They weren't talking about expenses. And I talk about the revenue I make, which is fine, but it's also important to talk about your profit and loss, your net income, your expenses, your cost of goods sold, because in the box truck industry, as you guys know, that's huge. So like I said, I was hesitant. I didn't even want to make this video. I've been pretty stressed out the past 2 weeks, but in the spirit of authenticity and honesty, I will share with you guys my profit and loss for November, and I'll talk about what went well, what didn't go well. And I will continue making these videos every single week until either my business fails or, I will continue making these videos every single week just to show you guys what the actual, bookkeeping and accounting, like what the finances of a box truck business really look like. Because I think that's super important, especially if you're new to the business, if you're thinking about getting into it, if you're hesitant about investing in a box truck business. Hopefully I can share some valuable insight and some good information for you guys. So with that being said, I will jump right into my QuickBooks. And this is actually, Route 20 Trucking Company. This is my QuickBooks account, like I always show you guys. So in the past, I showed you, the most recent video, I showed you how I made I think $14,000 in 20 days. And that's the revenue I made in November. So my driver worked for 30 days straight, end of October to November 20th. And he took a week or two, 10 days off for Thanksgiving. So let's jump right into my QuickBooks here. And it wasn't as good as I thought it was. So sales, this is my revenue, this is my income, this is the top line of everyone's profit and loss. So the big issue that I'm having is with my factoring companies and those just not being factored because the brokers don't have enough credit. So my sales right now is $14,000 for the month of November, but some of those are loads that I delivered in October. Some of them are loads that I delivered in November, and I think maybe even a couple of them are loads that I delivered at the end of September that I finally got paid for. So I sound like a broken record, but my current situation is I have a little over $6,000 of outstanding accounts receivable from loads that I delivered in November. So if you guys are looking for a factoring company, just keep in mind that if you go with a factoring company who doesn't allow you to do quick pay with the brokers, you're going to be stuck waiting 30 days. So I still have to pay the factoring fee, even though I choose delayed advance because the brokers don't have enough credit. And if you're new to the industry, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you've been driving for a couple months, you can probably relate to my frustrations if you have certain factoring companies. But I know I sound like a broken record, but it's a serious issue with cash flow. And for all of you new owner operators, you might not have thousands of dollars saved up in your checking account. So before you get into the business, I always tell people, make sure you have at least $10,000 of cash ready to spend in the first couple months on your box truck business. So My November profit and loss here, my sales, $14,000, and that's money that I actually received from loads that were delivered. And like I said, I've got like $6,000 of outstanding accounts receivable of like loads that I should have been paid for that were delivered in November, but I just haven't been paid for yet. My dispatching fees, $1,380. That's like almost dead on with 10% of my revenue for the month of November. And then this might be an issue. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm really, really frustrated coming from a bookkeeping and accounting background. I'm super frustrated because I can't figure out why my business isn't profitable. And I'm sure tons of you guys are going to leave me little tidbits of knowledge in the comment section. I really appreciate your comments. But I cannot figure out why my box truck business was not profitable in November, but I have a couple theories. One being, obviously, my accounts receivable. I didn't receive $6,000 of money that is owed to me for loads that were delivered in November. So that right there would make me if I would have collected on all of my accounts receivable, I would have been positive in November. And keep in mind, I'm not a driver. So I'm not like a traditional owner operator. I'm just an owner. So my profit margins are going to be a lot more slim than you traditional owner operators. But I know I have a lot of people who watch my videos who are looking to get into the business as like kind of an investor, just an owner like me. Okay, so just wanted to really emphasize that. Okay, so back to my profit and loss. So I don't know why I'm not profitable, but this might be one of the reasons. I'm paying my driver 55 cents a mile and paying for hotels. So with my driver being out for 30 days straight, I paid $75 for 30 days straight. So I ended up spending $2,000 just on hotel fees in November. And if you guys are looking to hire a driver, I think 55 cents a mile is a little bit too high. I saw on the back of one of the tractor trailers I was driving behind, the CDL drivers, they were offering 60 cents per mile. So if I'm hiring a box truck driver with 55 cents per mile and someone else is hiring a CDL driver for 60 cents a mile, they're making $3 a mile and I'm making $2 a mile. Like the pay does not make sense. So I would recommend probably paying your drivers 45 cents a mile, especially if they have little to no experience. I think 45 cents a mile is a lot more reasonable. But yeah, so I paid my driver over $7,000 in November alone. And so I might be overpaying my driver. And the other reason why my expenses are so high is because some of the bills that I was paying were carried over from September. From October, if that makes sense, because I pay my driver like a week late. So I promise you, I've been losing sleep over this, and I've been trying to rack my brain around this. But if I go into my driving, if I click on driving right here, I can see that I actually paid for October 24th through October 30th. So I actually paid a week of October for my driver. So I paid for a week of October, but this isn't capturing any revenue from October. So that is why my driver pay is a little bit inflated because I paid for an extra week in October, but this is my November P&L. But keep in mind, I run on cash basis. So my P&Ls are not based on accrual basis, which would be when the bills and the accounts receivable are recorded. Being cash basis, everything is based on when money, cash actually comes into or leaves my checking account. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing your taxes, whenever you're doing your books, if you're cash basis or accrual basis. I recommend cash basis. It's just infinitely easier to stay organized with cash basis. Okay, so the main theme so far with my November profit and loss is that I didn't collect on some accounts receivable and I paid on like previous weeks. So this is a November P&L, but I'm capturing some expenses from October. Another theory I have, obviously, fuel prices are going up, and away. $3.70 a gallon, $3.80 a gallon. I see $4 a gallon. It's crazy. Whenever I started in August, it was $3.60 a gallon was like national average, and now the national average is way above that. So my fuel, and that's another thing also. Not only did I pay my driver for some weeks in, let's see, yeah, this is my fuel. Yeah, so I paid for October 18th and October 25th. So I paid for 2 weeks in October of fuel. So I paid for my driver and I paid for my fuel in October because I'm based on cash basis, because that's whenever my bills were generated, and that's whenever the money actually left my checking account. So right off the bat, you can see my gross profit is already negative $1,000. So that's not a good start, because that's just revenue minus cost of goods sold. So my gross profit is already negative, and that's right here, this line item right here, gross profit, revenue minus cost of goods sold. So already I'm negative, and I was really disappointed because whenever I made my video in October, I was really hopeful that November, with peak season and being my first full month with just my 26-foot box truck, I was certain that I would have been positive, but I wasn't. Factoring fees, that's not going anywhere. Bank charges and fees, not sure what that $10 was. I'm not going to get into it. Insurance, that stays the same, $1,000. So I bought a tablet off of Amazon, and I ended up returning it, and I just went ahead and used an old iPad for my truck. So I did put an iPad in my truck, and I'm trying to figure out the Wi-Fi. Right now I'm on Keep Trucking Wi-Fi hotspot, but it's only like 1,000 megabytes per month. And my driver went through that in like a day and a half with just using GPS. So I might have to look into getting a Verizon hotspot. But that's the negative $53 right there. I returned the Android tablet that I got on Amazon. Here's another kicker. $1,500 on maintenance. So I planned for $1,000 a month, but I had to get my lift gate fixed, which cost $900, and I had to get an oil change and my fuel filters changed. So I was planning on getting an oil change every month, but with driving like 2,500 to 3,000 miles a week, I want to get my oil changed every 8,000 miles. So I'm going to get my oil changed sometimes twice a month. And I wanted my driver to do it on the road, but that's just not really realistic, because he would have to go and get oil and get the filter, or I would have to get it in advance and just like store 5 gallons of oil in the truck. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. Because he's over the road for 20, 30 days at a time, we don't have a home station, and he's not interested in changing the oil. And I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, he just wants to drive the truck. He doesn't necessarily want to be a mechanic, and I'm not paying him to be a mechanic, so I can't blame him for not wanting to change the oil in the truck. So he just went to like Love's or one of the truck stops and got the oil change there, and it ended up being like $500 for an oil change and for a fuel filter change. So I ended up spending $1,500 on maintenance, $65 on tolls, which is low. I should have paid more on tolls, but he was out in the Midwest, so maybe he didn't have as many tolls to go through. And then ever faithful depreciation. So every month I record depreciation, and that is just the total value of your truck divided by 60, because trucks depreciate over 5 years. So pretty heartbreaking, but my net income was negative $4,748. So that's my profit and loss, guys. That's pretty much going to wrap up the video. Try to keep it under 15 minutes for you. So the main theme is that I'm not collecting on my accounts receivable in a timely manner, which has been the theme of multiple videos. And I paid for like 5 or 6 weeks worth of expenses, paying my driver and paying for fuel. And so I'm kind of like paying for more expenses, like paying for 6 weeks of expenses, but only collecting like 3 or 4 weeks worth of invoices and worth of revenue. So if I would have collected on all 6,000 of my outstanding accounts receivable, I would have been positive $1,000, which is my goal. I just want to be positive $1,000 a month, because I'm not really doing a whole lot of work. I submit the invoices to my factoring company, and I like manage the truck, obviously from like a business perspective, but I'm not dispatching, I'm not driving, I'm not really doing anything on day to day. So this is just purely like supposed to be passive income, supposed to be just an investment from a business owner perspective. So I don't want to make thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't want to get rich. I just want to make like $1,000 a month per truck, because the goal is then to get another truck. But the way things are going right now, not so sure. So I know it's too soon to tell. I'm not going to give up yet, but I'm pretty defeated, pretty heartbroken, to be honest, because I was really looking forward to a positive month, and I want to share with you guys a positive month. I really do. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop making these videos. As long as my truck is in operation, I will continue to give you weekly updates. I appreciate you all watching. If you ever want to connect, feel free to comment. You can find my phone number and my email address at harrisburgbookkeeping.com. Check out the QuickBooks course in the comments below, or the description of the video below. It's only $59, and it'll be really beneficial for you guys to kind of learn step by step from start to finish how to do your QuickBooks. It's tailored specifically for you, owner operator, box truck, business owners. If you have a tractor, a CDL, it would work for you too. So appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully in the future we'll start having some positive numbers. But and if you're an owner operator, traditional owner operator, you can see I paid my driver $7,000. So there's money to be made if you're an owner operator. But just as an owner, not a whole lot of money to be made yet. But I'm very confident. I'm very confident that soon in the future this business will be profitable. And I'm not going to get another truck until May. So basically I have until April to start making a profit. And if I'm not making a profit in April, then I'll have to reevaluate the situation. But I can't just keep on losing thousands and thousands of dollars every week, every month. So I'm going to continue making these videos, continue trying to make this business work. And I appreciate all the support from you guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Comment the video if you have any questions or if you have any feedback. And I will see you all in the next video.